You've spent thousands on this cruise, but the moment you hand your suitcase to that porter at the curb, you are entering a legal no man's land. Most passengers assume the cruise line is responsible for their property from that moment on. They aren't. Their own contracts are specifically written to make sure they owe you nothing if a port contractor loses your bag before it even hits the ship. I've spent weeks reading the conditions of carriage for every major cruise line, the fine print they hope you never open. If you're sailing with MSC or Norwegian, their liability cap for your lost luggage can be as low as $100. That is not a typo. Your $5,000 vacation is sitting behind a $100 safety net. Today we're going inside the port operation. Private K-9 units owned by the cruise lines, not the government, that can flag your bag for a bottle of ibuprofen. A deadline trap that legally voids your right to file a damage claim the second you step outside the terminal. And the question of who actually pays when everyone in the chain points at someone else. I have 10 revelations. Pay close attention to number 6. It is the single mistake that kills your compensation claim before you even leave the building. If you value your property and your retirement fund, you cannot afford to skip this. Let's get into it. Number 1. The legal no man's land. The moment your bag leaves your hand, it enters a chain of custody that the cruise line has very carefully distanced itself from. Curbside porters are not cruise line employees. They work for port terminal operators. Companies like Ceres Terminals, which runs baggage operations at major U.S. ports, including Port Canaveral. Your bag gets staged on a cart, goes through a security screening machine, gets sorted into crates, and then a forklift moves those crates through the cargo doors at the front and back of the ship. Only at that point does cruise line crew take over. So who owns the legal risk during that entire window before the ship? MSC Cruises' Conditions of Carriage answers that question directly. It states in their contract that the carrier is not liable for loss or damage while your luggage is in the custody of stevedores or other independent shoreside contractors. The cruise line can point to the port. The port has no contract with you, and your bag is legally sitting somewhere in between. Number 2, they're scanning for explosives. Most people assume cruise terminal security is a softer version of the airport. Basic X-ray, maybe a metal detector, done. That assumption is wrong. Smith's Detection, one of the world's leading security screening companies, publicly announced the deployment of dual-view X-ray systems at Port Miami specifically for Carnival Cruise Line baggage departing from terminals D and E. And those systems include automatic explosives detection capability, not just alcohol or weapons, explosives, at a cruise terminal. Under U.S. federal law, specifically 33 CFR Section 105.545, cruise terminal operators are legally authorized to screen all passenger baggage using X-ray and explosives detection equipment. They can see inside your bag, every sailing. If something flags, it gets pulled. They do not need your permission. Number 3, your lock means nothing. A lot of people put a padlock on their luggage and feel protected. Here is the reality. Princess Cruises' passage contract states this plainly. All bags will be scanned, prohibited items may be removed and discarded, and if your bag is locked, that lock may be cut by security, without your presence, without prior notice. The contract also states that the carrier accepts no responsibility for any damage caused by the lock removal itself. So if the zipper housing cracks when they cut the lock, that is not their problem. That is word-for-word contract language you agreed to when you bought your ticket. The smart move is a TSA-approved lock, which security can open with a master key without cutting anything, or skip the lock entirely and use a bright luggage strap. It also helps you spot your bag faster at pickup. Number 4, Carnival owns the drug dogs. When passengers started seeing narcotics-sniffing dogs at cruise terminals, the natural assumption was federal agents, Customs, TSA, Coast Guard. That assumption is wrong. In 2023, Carnival CEO Christine Duffy confirmed in a direct video message to passengers that Carnival had introduced narcotics-sniffing dogs at home ports to screen luggage on a routine and random basis. A Carnival spokesman confirmed those dogs are owned by Carnival, not any government agency. The cruise line is running a private K-9 narcotics operation on your bags, and it does not stop at the departure port. Carnival also confirmed the dogs may board at destination ports during the voyage. That bag sitting in your cabin on day 4, it can be screened again. If a dog flags your bag for any reason, stay calm, cooperate fully, and have documentation ready for every prescription you are carrying. Number 5, the $100 safety net. Here are the actual maximum payouts pulled directly from the ticket contracts of the world's biggest cruise lines. Carnival Cruise Line, $250 per bag. Princess Cruises, $250 per bag. Holland America, $250 per bag. Royal Caribbean, $300 per guest total, not per bag, per guest. Celebrity Cruises, $300 per guest total. Norwegian Cruise Line, $100 per passenger. MSC Cruises, $100 per passenger on U.S. voyages, $100. You can bring a $4,000 hard shell packed with formal wear onto an MSC or Norwegian sailing. If that bag disappears, $100 is the legal maximum they owe you. That is in the contract you signed before you ever stepped onto the ship. Travel insurance with dedicated baggage coverage is the only real answer here. It pays based on your actual loss, not the cruise line's liability cap. Buy it before you sail. Number 6, the terminal deadline trap. This is the one. This is the mistake that wipes out even that small compensation we just talked about. And almost no one knows about it until it is too late. If your luggage is damaged, the window to report it does not close when you get home. It does not close when you reach the hotel. It closes when you walk out of the terminal building. Multiple cruise lines require that damage be reported before you leave on disembarkation day. Step outside and get in that cab, and the claim window is legally closed. They are no longer obligated to process your report. Think about how that plays out. You are exhausted after 7 days on the ship. You grab your bag. It looks mostly fine. You head for the exit. 2 hours later at the hotel, you notice the wheel is completely sheared off. You call the cruise line. They point to the fact that you did not report it before leaving the terminal. End of conversation. Before you leave the baggage hall, open every bag. Physically check every wheel, every zipper, every handle. Anything damaged. Find a port representative immediately and get it documented in writing before you walk out those doors. Number 7, 70 pounds on top of your bag. Picture your best luggage sitting at the bottom of a loading crate at Port Canaveral. Now picture 7 or 8 bags stacked directly on top of it. Ceres Terminal's own operational data confirms that individual bags at these ports can weigh up to 70 pounds. That weight is sitting on your wheels, your zippers, your telescoping handle for hours. Softside bags compress under that load, and everything inside shifts and presses against the walls. Spinner wheels sit at exactly the right angle to get sheared when a crate is dragged across the floor. Telescoping handles bend and stress under repeated loading cycles. None of this is malicious. It is physics at industrial scale. And Ceres alone handles over 10 million passengers worth of luggage every single year. Hardshell case with recessed wheels. Formal wear and anything fragile goes in your carry-on. That is the only real protection against what happens inside those crates. Number 8, 9,000 passengers, 8 hours. Royal Caribbean Hotel Director Adrian Gheorghi laid out the turnaround day numbers publicly. Approximately 9,000 passengers rotate through in about 8 hours. The window when no guests are on board at all, the only time crew works without interruption, is roughly 1 to 1.5 hours. In that window, crew is simultaneously cleaning over 2,600 cabins, restocking 10,000 rolls of toilet paper, nearly 2,000 pounds of coffee, 1,000 new light bulbs, and moving all the luggage for those 9,000 people. Your bag is one unit in that math. The operation is optimized for throughput, not individual care. Understanding that is not pessimistic. It is the context that should drive every packing decision you make. Number 9, someone else's drugs in your bag. Security experts have documented cases where smugglers deliberately place drugs inside the luggage of unsuspecting passengers during the check-in or drop-off process, intending to retrieve them later. The innocent passenger gets flagged, detained, and in some cases arrested for something they had no knowledge of whatsoever. The mechanism works because multiple people have brief access to your bag at several points in the process. A small package is easier to conceal in someone else's property than to carry through screening personally. This is rare. But rare with a life-altering consequence deserves 30 seconds of your attention. Do not leave your bags unattended before drop-off. Watch your bag until it is physically on the porter's cart. One exterior photo at the curb, date stamped on your phone, is your documented baseline if anything goes wrong. Number 10. Who actually pays you? This is the question the entire system is designed to make unanswerable. And this is the one I promised you at the very beginning. Your bag is damaged. You want to be compensated. Here's the chain you now have to untangle. The curbside porter, a port contractor, not a cruise employee, had it first. Terminal staff ran it through the scanner. Longshoremen loaded it into crates and forklifted it aboard. Ship crew brought it to your cabin. Housekeeping moved it to the hallway the night before disembarkation. Longshoremen transferred it to the terminal. You picked it up. MSC's contract says the cruise line is not responsible while your bag is with shoreside contractors. Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Princess, and Norwegian cap their liability at $100 to $300 regardless of what is inside. The terminal operator has no direct contract with you. The Port Authority is a government entity. If the damage happened in the window, between the curb and the ship, which is the highest risk window based on everything we have covered today, proving exactly where it happened, and therefore who owes you, is by design nearly impossible. That is not an accident. That is the system. And now you know exactly how it works. Here is how you protect yourself. Hardshell luggage with recessed wheels. Travel insurance with dedicated baggage coverage. Photos of the exterior and interior of every bag before you sail. Inspect every bag before you leave the terminal. And never, not once, check valuables, medication, or anything irreplaceable. That is how you beat the system. If you made it this far, you now understand the cruise luggage operation better than 99% of the people standing at that curb this weekend. You know who legally holds your bag at every step, what those contracts actually cap your payout at, and exactly what to do the moment something goes wrong. If those liability numbers surprised you, especially that $100 floor, drop it in the comments, and hit subscribe, because next we are going inside the other fine print traps the cruise industry is counting on you to ignore. That one is going to hit just as hard.